Please read the disclaimer. XRP holders, extreme greed or extreme fear? Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. Right now, it's not Freaky Friday. What day is it? Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's the last day of March. We're going into April, and the thing is, maybe April is going to be a good month for the crypto market. There's a lot of contradicting news coming out from the conflict in Iran. And we also have an update from Google that could mean good things, bad things for the crypto market, for Bitcoin. We'll talk about all that. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smishity smash that like button. Listen, let's not beat around the bush. You guys have not been able to get 1,000 likes on the videos, and the price of XRP is stuck. So I'm just saying, maybe if we get over 1,000 likes, something will happen. We'll see. Currently, XRP is sitting at $1.31. By the way, right? There's no real straight correlation between the amount of likes on my videos and the price of XRP, but maybe. Currently, Bitcoin is sitting at 67,000, up 0.72%. Ethereum up another 1.12% on the day. Crypto market not moving that much. We're still in the extreme fear zone here for the crypto market at 11. Interestingly, the stock market fear and greed index is at 9. So, just 1 month ago it was at 41. And now, a few weeks of pulling back here, it's in extreme fear. Now, as an investor, this is an important question. Do you feel extreme greed? Do you feel, no, that's a different song. It popped into my head. Do you believe in life after love? Do you feel, there must be a song, do you feel, right? That we are actually in extreme fear, right? Are you running for the hills, or are you looking at this current situation and saying to yourself, okay, oil is at 103. It's not that bad, right? And there's a lot of contradicting headlines talking about potentially that President Trump is willing to end the Iran war if the Strait of Hormuz, even if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Details include Trump and his aides assess that the mission to reopen Hormuz would push the conflict beyond the timeline of 4 to 6 weeks. Trump believes the U.S. should achieve its main goals of destroying Iran's Navy and missile stockpiles. Trump thinks that he can wind down current hostiles while pressuring Iran diplomatically to resume the free flow of trade. If that fails, Washington will press allies in Europe and Gulf to take the lead on reopening the strait, U.S. official says. And so, right now, the VIX is fallen under 30, right? So the fear in the short term is down, and the futures are up, right? So it will be very interesting, but it's kind of, we'll get to that in just a second. It's kind of contradicting here. You can see the U.S. Department of War announced it's be holding a press conference at 8 a.m. On Tuesday, so we have to check out for that. But I like what Orlando tweeted here. It says every 15 minutes you get a contradicting report. Like, here it says Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait, Bahrain are privately urging President Trump to continue the war against Iran, according to the Washington Post. So we're getting contradicting reporting here, and that's why maybe the uncertainty is causing a situation where investors are a little bit more frightened. But we know that if the conflict ends, oil is going to drop, right? And high probability that the stock market will get a nice pump there. It doesn't mean for sure that that is going to happen, but that is the theory, that this recovery, that we're oversold right now, and then we're going to see a recovery here. Potentially, let's get a different color. I don't know. Where's my thingamajig? The colors, I don't know. But potentially here is the color. Potentially we could get, right, something to the upside there. So we'll see if that happens over the next coming weeks. Hopefully I have, personally I have a personal interest that we get this conflict done. I don't need my kids at home anymore after we have Passover vacation and then go back to school, right? No more Zooms, no more staying at home. So of course that. As always, I just want to remind you that this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. I do not know day to day what the market is going to do. Okay, I'm not a prophet. Also, just a reminder that I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me anything. That's not me. Those are imposters. I don't have 300 accounts. I only have one Twitter account and the YouTube account. That's it. And we have the free open Telegram group. Everything is linked on the page. Everything else is our imposters. They're not me. They are scammers. Please be very careful out there. Okay. If we go and we talk a little bit about the Clarity Act, we're going into April, and the U.S. Senate has confirmed an April markup for the Clarity Act. Senate markup is confirmed for the second half of April. Final passage is targeted for May, and Senator Moreno has warned that if the bill does not pass then, digital asset legislation will not receive serious consideration again before 2027. The entire fight comes down to the stablecoin yield. The current draft bans passive yield. Users cannot earn by simply holding stablecoins. Activity-based rewards for payments and transfers are still allowed. That distinction puts 1.3 billion of Coinbase annual revenue directly at risk, nearly 1/5 of everything the company earns. Coinbase has rejected the bill twice and is now coordinating a formal counter proposal with multiple major crypto firms to get the language changed before the draft hardens. Banks are pushing in the opposite direction, with Jamie Dimon and Brian Armstrong have reportedly clashed directly over stablecoin economics. April is the window. Everything gets decided in the next 4 weeks. So the next 4 weeks are critical for the crypto market. We could have a double whammy here. We could have the conflict ending in Iran, the war ending. We could also have stablecoin yield compromise here and the bill going through. April could be a very, very interesting month for the crypto market. And hopefully you are ready, right? You're getting your affairs in order. If you're interested, our partner BTCC will give you the opportunity to trade the market. If you sign up right now using my link, you get 30% deposit bonus. Yes, yes, yes. And so that means 100,000, you'll get 30% of that is 30,000 deposit bonus. If you're interested, link is in the description down below. You can go long, you can go short, whatever your heart desires, but please trade responsibly. Okay. Again, it is an affiliate link, so I will get a commission. So thank you for that. Link is in the description down below. And it's another way that you can support the channel and support me and support, I wanted to, those like support the children. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't play on your heartstrings, right? No. What else did I want? Also very interesting here. The U.S. 10-year is falling. Remember, we were talking about that. Trump can't have it go over a certain level. Previously in the past, whenever we've seen the 10-year go up too much, then we seen Trump kind of change his tune and start being less aggressive in the statements that he makes. It started back when last year in the tariff situation, and now we saw it also with the situation when Trump gave that 48-hour deadline, and then he turned to 5 days, and then to 10 days, and that relieved a lot of the pressure on the 10-year yield. But we're still seeing, extreme fear on the markets. If you go here, you'll see they're still talking about oil, and they're still talking about, how potentially stocks could drop more. And there's a lot of fear mongering out there, but that's just part of the game. That's just part of the assets, the markets, right? If you go back and you remember, like now we fell here, but remember in April and February of 2025, like the S&P 500 fell a significant amount more, about 20% in 44 days. And then, I think there was maybe more concerns on the markets just because the tariff was something that we didn't really know. We kind of know how this is going to play out already. And yet the market continued to sell off because it needed a breather, right? After that April, it had run up about 44% over the year since that dip. So I think it just needed a breather. And for, regarding the crypto markets, it's all about the Clarity Act, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, right? We'll see how this plays out. Again, XRP is sitting here right about to potentially break out here, so it will be very interesting. Today, Ripple Prime has expanded its hyperliquid integration with HIP-3 symbols, giving institutions on-chain perps access to traditional assets like gold, silver, and oil. So this is interesting. And it says here, gold, silver, and oil perps on hyperliquid matter because macro desks can keep a hedge book on crypto rails instead of waiting for CME hours. If open interest builds here, weekend prices discovery for metals and crude oil get new venue fast. And so this is important because institutions couldn't buy until now if they, the hyperliquid symbols. So potentially now we could see institutions that don't have weekend options now have weekend options. But remember that CME, we talked about this, is going to go 24/7 as well soon, and then we won't have the gap anymore. If you noticed, I haven't talked about the gap in a while, just because a gap hasn't really opened up over the past few weeks. So there wasn't really much to talk about. You can see there wasn't really gaps. We haven't seen many big movements over the weekend. So there hasn't been a Bitcoin gap that has opened up, right? But we still have this gap around 80,000. So potentially we could close this in April if we do see the Clarity Act pass, and that's going to be interesting. But soon, in the next few months, the CME is going to go 24/7, and then we won't have the CME gaps anymore. Remember, famously, we closed two big gaps that were open for months, and eventually the market sold off into those gaps. So we won't have that fear anymore going forward, for better or for worse, you could say, the CME situation. Okay. Now, something that keeps coming up, and some people throw this out as the reason why the crypto market didn't have its grand banana zone, is because of the fear of the quantum computing, right? And now Google has come out and says a quantum attack on Bitcoin takes just 9 minutes with a 41% success rate. Google's quantum team now says cracking Bitcoin may require less than 500,000 qubits, far below the millions once assumed. Researchers suggest an attack could take 9 minutes, faster than the typical 10-minute block confirmation, giving a 41% success rate. Google now flags 2029 as the key deadline to upgrade Bitcoin's cryptography before quantum becomes a real threat. Now, listen, what potentially could happen here, there might be a fork in the road. They might have to upgrade the protocol. I don't know how they're going to do that. I'm not a blockchain expert, but what I do know is that they can encapsulate the cryptography and double down on it. They can create a potentially, I don't know if this would work, but they can just double crypto, they can take it and they can encapsulate it in another, SHA-256 or something like that and make it more complex. And then potentially it could be harder or more exponentially harder to crack. But technology is developing, and I'm sure that there's researchers and there's people that are working on this in Bitcoin foundations and things like that, researchers and universities. I think this will get done. I think that they'll find a way to combat this. Again, it's the fear of this potentially happening. But again, if Google is the only one that has the possibility to do this, why would they do this? Let's say they have the possibilities, they have the quantum computing, but they're not going to do it, right? So that's a different question. Why would Google want to do that? Why would Google want to break, the cryptography on Bitcoin? They'd have to have an incentive. I don't think that some Joe Schmo is going to have Google's crypto quantum computer, right? I don't think, right? Or quantum processors. I don't think that those, maybe, but we'll see. Maybe 2030 will be very interesting. It's only 4 years away, but I think that this thing will play out, and I don't think that this will be a huge issue, but we'll find out in 2029. As always, don't forget to smash the like button. Check out the links in the description down below. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And then, like I always say, let's make a lot of money.